of Dr. Bidlia now. We've been on the issue of helping to get the Lake Chad back to where it used to be for a while now. And the question on the minds of a lot of people is, why are we still where we are? This has been an issue of saving the Lake Chad for quite some time now. And really, is it actually redeemable?
Well, my take on this is that it is redeemable, but it's going to be a very complicated and prolonged process. The reason being that the measures that need to be taken in order to redeem the lake or to refill or rescue the lake are complicated. It involves the participation of several stakeholders who are not necessarily on the same page. As already described, the challenges are such that there are development processes going on in the various countries impacting on the lake in various ways. And there is this natural phenomena about which we can do very little. And the obvious measures that can be taken, which look very simple on the table, which is now commonly being described as interbasin water transfer to channel water from where there is a lot of water into Lake Chad, is a very complicated technical and engineering process with a lot of human engineering as well. We need to convince countries like Central African Republic, the Republic of Congo, who at the moment have nothing on the table to justify some kind of commitment towards the resuscitation of Lake Chad. We are the beneficiaries of the Lake Chad ecosystem, but they are the ones supplying or making possible the water that comes into Lake Chad. So if we cannot make it attractive for them to participate in the resuscitation of Lake Chad, put something on the table to make it worth their while, it's not going to be an easy exercise. So all this while, for more than 20 years, attempts have been made to resuscitate the lake or recover the lake or stop the process of water and land degradation. We've been going at this slow pace simply because those who can make that contribution or who are responsible for making the contribution towards rescuing the lake have nothing to benefit from for now, from the rescuing of the lake. Those of us who are interested in getting the lake rescued to its position of past do not have control over the water resources. But that said, even within our national boundaries, there are some actions that we can take that can contribute towards the rescuing or resuscitation of the lake. And maybe because of the way we've been running our society, these actions have not attracted the attention of top decision makers. For example, investments in the Hadeja Jamare Komadugu Yobe Basin, which is the only basin in Nigeria contributing a significant amount of water to Lake Chad. In good times, just 10% of the flow into the northern pool, but for the past few years, less than 1%. We have done very little in order to make that basin, to make its contribution into the lake for the past 20 years. And we've also done very little to make the best use of the water resources in that basin in the past 20 years. So because of this challenge of our inability to prioritize investment and activities in running our basins, that is those parts of Lake Chad within our borders, and because of low investment in also making the best use of the available water we have in this part of the basin, and because the countries that actually own the water that we want sort of rechanneled into Lake Chad for now have nothing on the table to win their commitment, the process has of necessity become more complicated, and it will be very difficult to continue along this route without a change in approach before we can see positive results.
All right, Dr. Bidlia, thank you very much. So let's bring in again the Minister of Water Resources. Honorable Minister, I mean, it appears that perhaps our best national efforts may not suffice in helping to recharge Lake Chad. What is it that we are doing in terms of getting international cooperation, especially, as has been mentioned, from the Central African Republic, the Congo, and other neighbors who are also beneficiaries of the resources of Lake Chad?
Well, what Dr. Bilia was saying is quite true, but starting from the Lake Chad Basin Commission itself, Nigeria has been a champion, championed the creation of that, of the LCBC. And you know, since its inception, virtually by some common consensus, is a Nigerian that has always occupied the position of the executive secretary. That is one. Number two, when the situation became really bad in the, I think, in the last 20 years or so or less, Nigeria also championed this idea of the interbasin transfer. I remember that during the Obasanjo administration, Nigeria committed $5 million to the first ever study, a real study on this interbasin transfer, which showed that it is feasible. It was a kind of a pre-feasibility study, and it indicated that it is quite feasible. And subsequently, efforts made by Nigeria helped reach a consensus for the first time among the LCBC countries that we need to recharge the lake and that the interbasin transfer was something that they would promote. But obviously, it's a huge investment. It has been mentioned there are lots of complications, but they are not insurmountable. The hydropolitics is there. I think we have come a long way, especially now that we have the issues of climate change are very much on the table all over the world. People are beginning to focus on issues like the Lake Chad. And of course, not in a happy situation, but the security situation in the Northeast has also brought a lot of international focus on Lake Chad now. And that is why we felt that it's very important. Part of the efforts that we will need to make to build this international consensus is to have this conference. Of course, I have not mentioned that also virtually all the climate change conferences that President Muhammadu Buhari attended, his message has been, he has continued to hammer on the need to save the Lake Chad. So we have come to a kind of climax on this issue to get the international consensus. That's why we intend to hold this conference on saving the Lake Chad between 26th and 28th of February this year. The idea is, one, to build an international consensus on the need to save the lake. We are not unappreciative of the efforts that have been made, that are being made by the World Bank, African Development Bank, and so on. They are doing quite a number of interventions relating to climate change, resilience, and adaptation, and so on. But that is a short and medium-term approach. If in the next 50 years this lake is no more, where there's an estimate that presently 30 to 40 million people are dependent on the lake region. You know, they're living in the region, are dependent on that lake, on the resources of the lake. If we're having 2,000 millimeters, that is 2 meters of evaporation every year, we're having a desert that is rapidly approaching, we're having less rainfall now, and the entire climate in that region is unpredictable. Who knows what is going to happen in the next 40, 50 years? So we need to have a consensus on the need to save the lake. One of the approaches is the interbasin transfer from Congo. We have made a lot of progress in terms of hydro diplomacy. We have Central African Republic is a member of the LCBC. We have no problem. The Congo region, they are now committed, where there's been a better understanding, because it's clear to them that all we need is 5% or so of the total rainfall resource that falls in the Congo region, because all the water basically falls into the Atlantic Ocean. The area is a rainforest, so 5% of that water, it's a drop in the ocean, so to speak. So the conference will want to achieve a consensus also on whether the interbasin transfer project is the best approach. If we have that consensus, then we would have taken care of all those initial problems that have to do with all the stakeholders. The next thing is to commit ourselves to the engineering, the planning and engineering design, which will take years also. And subsequently, we now have a basis to, in future, hold a donors conference and probably get the international community to support and finance such a huge endeavor that it is likely to be.
Another factor that is said to also be contributing to the receding of the Lake Chad is overuse of the basin by government and communities, construction of dams, and we're looking at irrigation for communities around that environment. My question is, are you looking at reducing the activities around the Lake Chad basin?
Well, the construction of dams certainly over the last 40 years has done a lot of havoc. We still have remnants of such problems. Now we would like, for instance, we've always wanted to do the Kafin Zaki Dam in Bauchi, but the farmers in Yobe State are saying, no, it's impossible. Tiga Dam, Chalao Goj Dam, upstream in Kano have contributed in reducing the flow. But thank God, I'm happy to hear from Dr. Bilia, because I've been feeling a lot guilty. But he says that the contribution from those has always been not more than 10%. The bulk of the water has always been coming from Central Africa and Cameroon. But yes, it's a factor. But I think apart from South Chad irrigation project, there hasn't been a major water abstraction as far as Nigeria is concerned. I cannot say what is happening in the other countries, Niger, Chad, and Cameroon. But what we are doing now from Nigeria, in any case, the lake, as it were, as the South Chad irrigation project itself is now almost a complete failure because the water has receded considerably. I've told you now that the intake has had to be moved 30 kilometers or so into the lake to be able to fetch the water. So what we are doing now, we are looking at a second approach from the Nigerian side. We have other rivers. Thank God in Nigeria, most of our waters, we rely less on transboundary waters than the waters that actually fall within Nigeria. So we have the Yastrem River within the Gongola Basin, and we have a plan to do our own small interbasin transfer, which we call the Howell transfer. And starting from the 2018 budget, we're committing some funds to start that project. Phase 1 will take water from the Yastrem River through Howell into our Alau Dam in Maiduguri. That will increase the amount of water available for drinking in Maiduguri. But there is still going to be excess water, which under Phase 2 we hope to divert through canals and possibly tunnels to the South Chad irrigation area. In that way, our major investment in irrigation as a nation will no longer depend on the actual waters of the lake, and we can allow, hopefully, whatever is available and whatever may come from the subsequent interbasin transfer or whatever solution we're able to establish on saving the lake for use by the communities.
All right, thank you very much. Professor Adanu, again, let's bring you. I would like you to speak more on what national efforts the Nigerian government can undertake in seeking to recharge the lake, without necessarily waiting for the more prolonged process of intergovernmental cooperation. In doing that, I would also like you to speak to what is feasible with regard to the Great Green Wall, if it might be contributory to preserving, whatever evaporation or whatever desert encroachment there might be.
Thank you. Nigerian internal efforts, just as the minister said, even if we do water transfer, that water may not go straight to the lake. We can revitalize the activities around the periphery of the lake. The how water transfer may not take water straight into the lake. It will end up in the Jerry Bowls, an environment that Lake Chad Basin has been using for irrigation. Last year, they made a lot of agricultural activities there. So the interbasin, with Nigeria interbasin water transfer, may not take water directly to the lake. Now, the Hadija Jamari, where we have Tiga Dam, Chalawa Dam, and all this, there was a time we had a conflict in that area, the Komadugu-Yobe problem. Water was no more going down to the northern part of the Chad, because Nigeria contributes only to the northern valley of the basin of the Chad. It has 2 basins. Now, we are no more contributing water there. What happened? most of the channels were plugged. Then the dams downstream were not releasing water. They were not operating the reservoirs as specified. So we're not taking water there. So if we train some of the channels and we release water from some of these dams, it may just trickle into the Chad, but not sufficient to restore it. That is that. Now the green wall, the Great Green Wall. Now, we went through the documents some time ago, and it was such that nobody considered water as the main issue. The Ministry of Water Resources was not even referred to. And water was the main thing. If you are going to do in a desert, so we ask questions, where are you going to get the water from? Great Green Wall, big project, very large. You want to create a wall like that. And all you need is to make sure that you provide water. And in what way do you supply water to this green wall? Are you going to throw water on the surface? Evaporation will take it. Are you going to make sure that you have underground water that has high level that the roots of the plants can tap from? So it became a problem. That Great Green Wall, I think water resources should also take another look at the availability of water and the mode of supplying water to this vast environment. I think we still need more work on it, because every human being is entitled to water, and with growing population, the amount of water required for your entitlement will increase. So if you cannot provide that, which one are you going to provide for? So even if you are going to do interbasin water transfer, because you have to train a lot of our characteristics in the river and groundwater movements. I think we still need more information on this, and we have the capacity to provide more information on that. Now, Lake Chad, as it is, we don't know what is going to happen. It passed through 4 stages: the Great Chad, the Medium Chad, the drying Little Chad, and the Little Chad, as it is today. Now, if you are going to do interbasin water transfer from Congo, the minister said Congo has a lot of water, and it's true. Congo delivers about 1.9 trillion cubic meters of water into the ocean every year. You want to take only 100 billion, which is 5%. That's the one you want to channel and take out. Now, if we get that done, the best we can get of Lake Chad is to come to the medium stage, not even the first great Chad. But at that point, we have enough water to cover the lake completely. And then even the northern basin, which Nigeria takes, will also be covered. The fossil dunes in the middle that separates it will also be covered. So you have a suppressed total water continuity. That is enough to sustain a lot of activities. Now, Delia was talking about the commitment of those who have the resources, who are not suffering as much as we are. The problem now is national, and it's even global, isn't it? Now, we have a global problem, and it's spreading. So I think, and it is not by wish that other countries are suffering from migrants from this area. But by wish, we can also commit ourselves to share the resources. We're sharing the problems now, not by wish, but we can share the resources by wish. So if we entice those who are providing the resources, the countries that have the resources, sufficiently for them to agree that we are supposed to share. Openness is the main thing now. We are supposed to share the resources. I think it will be better for us. So I think with this conference coming up, these are issues that the heads of government, our ministers will discuss and see how we can. But in the time being, if it's going to take up to 15 to 20 years for this project to work, we have the problem now. What are the measures that the contiguous countries or the peripheral or riparian countries around this will do to revitalize the periphery of the lake for activities? These are the things we need to do.
All right. Professor Adano, thank you very much. Dr. Bilia, very, very quickly, before we take reactions from our viewers, the reactions have come by way of tweets. Has the siltation of some of our dams in those locations been in any way contributory to what we are seeing with regard to Lake Chad, and might the desiltation also help in any small measure?
The simple answer is yes, but siltation as representative of general symptoms that indicate failure in the management of our water resources in the various countries and in the management of the lake itself. It's true that we have dams in Cameroon which are getting silted, the Maga Dam in particular, and in Nigeria, Chalawa Dam is also undergoing siltation, the same with Hadeja Barrage. I think Tiga Dam for now cannot be categorized as a dam which is threatened by siltation. And as I said earlier, this is a symptom simply because it's not only the dams that are getting silted, the rivers also are getting silted. Many of the channels that contribute water to the main rivers and the main river themselves used to be perennial, water used to flow all year round. But because of siltation, which I said is a symptom of management failure, some of these rivers have now become annual, flowing only for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and then for the remaining part of the year, they are dry. And what this translates to is that there is less water getting delivered to whatever destination these rivers are flowing to. In Nigeria in particular, one can refer to the problem of lack of management of the catchments of the dams and their rivers. We have allowed a situation whereby we are cultivating through the most simple ways of cultivation, the catchments or the areas from where surface water flow into the rivers and into the dams. And what has happened over the years is that there's a lot of erosion and the sediments from the farms and areas being cultivated, or even where there is no cultivation, but the vegetation cover has been denuded, we have a situation where there's still a lot of alluvium being carried into the rivers and into the lakes, especially on the Nigerian side. On the Cameroonian side, they are also experiencing the same problem. So doing something about siltation, especially in terms of managing the catchments of the various rivers and the various lakes, can make a difference, at least within our one sector of the lake. And in the ultimate, it can also mean more water yield that can be sort of channeled to reach Lake Chad.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Bidlia. We'd like to take our tweets now. The first one is from Festus Akimboyewa. He tweets, he said, while it's convenient to blame climate change for the shrinking of Lake Chad, human beings are digging and diverting water from the streams that are supposed to be feeding it, and these people should be blamed.
Abdullahi Unishabi tweets, saving Lake Chad is the right step towards rejuvenating the economy of the area and boosting trade between Nigeria and our neighbors.
And Festus tweets again, he says, time for legislation that's needed to regulate activities of the people around the Lake Chad.
Balaji Oladimeji has this tweet. The receding Lake Chad needs urgent attention, and I want government to look inwards. Well, looking inwards also means looking outwards. Honorable Minister, you already referred to hydropolitics and hydro-diplomacy. It turns out that both the Congo and Central African Republic are not on the same political or economic bloc with Nigeria. Is this a new avenue for diplomatic, engagement with these countries? And how do you deal with a country like CAR, which is in political turmoil?
Well, the good thing about Central African Republic is that they are a member of the Lake Chad Basin Commission. And from the pre-feasibility study that was conducted, which was approved in 2012 by the Summit of Heads of State, Central Africa, in fact, stands to benefit more from the concept that was developed at that time, because there's going to be quite a number of dams, there's going to be hydropower schemes, there are going to be canals for river transportation and so on, and a lot of that is going to be within the Central African Republic. We've made a lot of progress as a nation in Nigeria, to the extent that we have quite a lot of leverage on other countries, and I would say that I know the Congo countries, they are also they've also been invited to this conference, by the way, and their own sister agency, the Congo, the members of the Congo Basin countries are also going to have been invited to this conference. We've been talking with them. They're sympathetic, and I think they, as usual, where Nigeria really leads, other African countries really tend to listen to us very well.
All right.
President Obasanjo used to be the champion of the Lake Chad, and this diplomacy started right from his government, and it's been carried to another level by the current administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. So we're good to go.
All right. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister of Water Resources. That's how much we can take on this discussion this morning, saving the Lake Chad. It's on that note, we want to say a very big thank you to our guests who have joined us here in the studio. First of all, I'd like to thank Dr. Hassan Biglia, Executive Secretary, Hadeja Jamari, Kamadugu Yobe Basin Trust Fund. Thank you very much, Dr. Biglia.
Thank you.
And also a very big thank you to Professor Emmanuel Adanu, his Executive Secretary, National Water Resources Institute. It's a pleasure having you on Good Morning Nigeria today. Thank you for your thoughts and time.
Thank you.
And finally, a very, very big thank you to the Honorable Minister of Water Resources, Engineer Suleiman Adamu. It's been great having you on the program this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right, so that does it for our second topic. And just before we get onto our sports decks, Rhoda, don't forget, some years ago, there was an archaeological find on the Lake Chad, which there was a canoe that was discovered. The canoe was said to have been thousands of years old, indicating that there had been water transportation modes on Lake Chad. I'm sure by now you have a lot of other relics. And that's environment. Okay, well, so let's take a look now at sports, and here we go.
The Tigers coach Alex Nwora is confident that Nigeria will qualify for the 2019 FIBA World Cup in China despite missing some of their key players for the qualifiers. Nigeria have been drawn alongside host Mali, Uganda and Rwanda for the FIBA qualifiers, which will take place from 23rd February to 25th February 2018. Nwora admitted that the Nigerian Basketball Federation (NBBF) could not get some of the players for the qualifiers due to the new qualification format. Nwora recalled 2 players from the victorious 2015 AfroBasket Championship squad and 5 from the squad that won silver in Tunisia in 2017 to its preliminary squad for the qualifiers. The 2019 FIBA World Cup will tip off on 31st August and end on 15th September in China. And as efforts to revitalize the game of volleyball is ongoing, the national team captain Emmanuel Jato thinks that finance is a major handicap.
First, we'll talk about finance, which is the major problem. Finance is really not coming. The ministry is not really having money neither to give to federations to execute a project, and the sponsors are not really coming forth. But we're hoping and believing that we are going to hit the ground running.
The National Volleyball League is expected to resume in March after a long break.
Now let's join our foreign desk for some foreign news.
South Africa's ruling ANC party has resolved to remove President Jacob Zuma as the country's leader after his refusal to voluntarily resign. This was after the 13 hours of closed-door meeting of the 107 members of the National Executive Committee who met at a hotel outside Pretoria and decided to recall President Jacob Zuma from his job as the national president. Despite Zuma asking for more months in office, some media reports say the party will write to him ordering him to stand down as president of Africa's most advanced economy. It has been speculated that the ANC has given Zuma 48 hours to turn in his resignation. The second round of peace talks in South Sudan might be hitting the rock as the government's delegation objected to a call for punitive measures against saboteurs of the peace process. However, previous agreements have been violated within hours of signing. The side of the government consequently refused to sign the Declaration of Principles meant to guide the Intergovernmental Authority of Development mediated talks, expected to revive the 2015 peace deal. The government of President Salva Kiir feels that it is being targeted for sanctions and cannot be treated equally with the rebels.
And That does it on Good Morning Nigeria today. We'll be back again tomorrow morning at 7, God willing, and we do hope you have a wonderful and fulfilling day. I'm Rhoda Anona. Thank you for watching.
And I'm Kingsley Osagalo. I join Rhoda, and of course, I'm appreciating you being with us today. So enjoy the rest of your day.